key to your ACC on position before you crank, it engages the fuel pump. So, and basically all I'm doing right there is I'm repressurizing the fuel rail and I'm looking for any leaks. Because if for some reason you didn't get one of these in place, these have about 12 pounds of pressure probably in this van, 6 to 12. I'd have to look at the specifications, but it will shoot out like a stream, and I mean you'll see them wherever it's leaking, and that's all you're checking for is leaks. Because obviously, if you have leaks, you have fires later on. So no leaks, we're good. So I'm going to turn the van off.
Oh, so right now it's
Power.
still set on.
Yes.
And while it's on, you say that the fuel is pumping through?
Well, it's pressurized the fuel rail. It hasn't engaged the injectors to open up yet, but it's meant for when the motor turns, that there's pressure in there. So, all right. So now, take that off. Sure, I'm gonna try to wipe any grit that might be on these resealable gaskets. This intake. You can see there's a little bit of and one thing that we'll do, you'll notice that there's hoses and stuff that's got splits just from age, separation. And the motor, like those will have to be replaced because that's a vacuum leak for the intake. Like that one's split too. Basically line them up.
Now you say when it has a vacuum leak, what does that do?
Basically it's not pulling the proper amount of air that it needs to through all the sensors for the motor. So that can cause your idle to be rough. It can cause you to stall out at an idle. So basically I'm going to hand start these so that they're not cross-threaded.
On a scale from 1 to 10 on complexity, how hard would you rate this?
On this job, I'd probably say, I don't know, it's probably out of 5. It's not too complex. The main thing is just remembering where everything goes. So, and which bolts or screws go where. So that's like I put everything up here, but I separated. Like I put the fuel rail bolts up here, the intake bolts over here, so, and the other bolts that I had for like power steering and stuff over here. So just a mental note in my head that I knew where they were going and what was what.
Now you've never worked on this particular engine before, right?
No, not the 3.3.
But you know they're all like similar?
Yes. I know the GM 5.3, the fuel rails are on the outside of the intake. Makes it a little bit easier. You don't actually have to remove the plenum off the top of the motor to get to it. Start, I think, right here. I know a Haynes manual will say that they got a specific bolt pattern and torque specification for this plenum. It is plastic, so it doesn't need to go, but the way I do it normally is start in the middle and go either side and work my way out so it flattens out the gaskets. So being that we don't have a Haynes manual readily available for this, that can be a good rule of thumb. because then you're splitting it in half, pushing down the gaskets going out instead of going from one side to the other.
It's pretty smart. I think you're a smart guy.
Well, I remember on the Corvettes and stuff, timing, they never used a timing light. The master mechanic, he would always come over and he would set a glass of water on there and adjust the distributor to adjust the timing to where the water was smooth.
Wow.
Without the vacuum advance. And then the other guys, the new guys that just graduated and stuff, they would come over with the timing light and say, oh, that doesn't work, and he would be dead on the mark that it needed to be.
Now this looks similar to, like, is that a carburetor on like the older cars?
It has a flap for the intake, kind of like the carburetor, but the only thing is a carburetor, basically, it's going to be shooting fuel through this. No fuel runs through the top of this at all.
Just air, right?
Just air.
But that dirt and stuff was from air going through?
Yep.
Wow.
That's one thing why you want to have a clean intake. Or a clean air filter. Dirty air filter, hole in air filter, or crimped up, and the air box all functified can cause debris to get in there.
Now this air filter that's on here right now looks pretty clean.
It does on this side. We can flip it over because you got to see the other side to look. To verify.
Now, do you tighten it all the way, and then, or do you like tighten each of them and then keep going around?
No, I tighten all of what I'm tightening all the way. I'll basically hand tight it, and then probably another quarter turn tightness. Like I said, this is plastic. It gets brittle with age. You crack this, and I mean, you're probably looking like $130 at a junkyard.
Wow. I thought it was like aluminum or metal or something.
No, a lot of the new cars are plastic. So.
When you say crack it, that means like if you over tighten it?
Yep. Because then you will have part of the intake for each cylinder that goes air, it'll be leaking. And you don't want that.
Oh, I see. So the air comes through here and it splits to each cylinder.
You want to attach the cables first before attaching the bracket. That way you got your slack bunch against it.
I notice those cables always seem real loose, and like here it's like actually broken. Is that critical?
What are you talking about?
Like, see how it's broken here?
Yeah, that's something that you probably, it's not critical, but if it binds, I mean, you're gonna lose your gas pedal. So that's something that you want to get fixed.
When you do that, how? You just get a new cable, or where does it go? It goes from here?
Yep, that's your cruise control there. Did your cruise control work on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Snapped off and broke,
So it's a cruise control cable?
yeah. You got your actual throttle cable for your gas from the pedal, and then you actually got cruise control, and you can normally tell the cruise control because it's normally a big huge diaphragm, which is this round thing that's vacuum operated that pulls that cable down when you engage your cruise control.
Now, if they sell it, what are they selling? Just this cover, this boot, or is it the whole cable?
Just the whole cable where it plugs in. So it's got bolts right there. I'm sure it snaps in place. And another ratchet. This one's behind it.
That hose you're connecting goes to...
The intake. That's goes to your power brake booster. That gives you your power brakes because it sucks vacuum. And each thing has a specific amount of vacuum that it sucks, and that's why if you have a leak with hoses that are broke or cracked, it's pulling away from vacuum from the other items in the engine that need to operate.
I
So
see.
you could lose, you have real mushy brakes if you...
So like in the other vehicle, that sometimes I notice the brake doesn't want to work. It could be just a bad hose.
It could be a hose cracked, disconnected. So,
Now on this one you said I need to replace this hose here.
yes.
What is that called?
Not that hose. There's the hose.
Where does that go to?
It'll go to the
Oh, when you hook this up.
Yeah.
That's the one I need to replace?
back. Yeah. Plug in all these sensors.
Now that particular hose, what is that called so I know what to tell them to get?
Look, this is normally around like that. It goes to a PCV, but this vehicle doesn't have PCV. I'm trying to think in the intake where it might be on the cover. Trying to see where it goes. Here. This one's right underneath.
I see.
Yeah. Just the bottom of the intake.
Where's the other end connected? It connects. Oh, they got a metal there. I guess they patched it.
Yeah. No. It's just an elbow. Shouldn't be very expensive at all. It's just a little elbow. That's connected. Okay, there's another sensor that goes right there. Okay. Plug the sensor back in.
You know, a lot of cars have like the thing called the O2 sensor that seems to always light up. Where's that located?
That is on the exhaust.
Ah,
Normally near the catalytic converter, which comes down from the manifold, exhaust manifold, goes to the back, and expands out into another catalytic converter. They're normally in between. You'll probably have one in front of the catalytic converter, and they also, if you have multiple, they have one behind it. So, that's tight. So basically, we can check this.
it's pretty dirty.
Yeah. When you start to get discoloration, when you look at it, you'll see where you can see a definite ridge where it's been sucking in the box.
What about all this stuff
color.
here? These leaves? Probably not good, huh?
Filters are cheap enough nowadays. Like a lot of people used to blow them out,
Mm-hmm.
but they make them so cheaply you risk putting a hole through it. So it's probably best just to replace.
So the air comes in from underneath or something, and then blows
right
up.
through the fender well, probably.
So like, do we need to wipe all this down or no?
No. So, 'cause it's just the outside debris, driving, dust. You just want to make sure that it's not on there and pinched. And when I say pinched, is like it's not quite seated on there correctly where air could flow through with debris. So
Right.
you always want to make sure that the air filter is sitting proper on there. And especially when you put this back on, you don't want to. It has little locks that go in here. You just push this back, but you want to just kind of set it down. Get your line out of the way. And just make sure it's kind of in place. You don't really want to shift it while it's on there very harshly, because then you risk moving the filter. Lining it up, it's got a notch, so that's the only reason why I loosened this up. Tighten that back down. Tighten this one back down. And normally to remove the air filter, you do not have to take the breather hose off. It goes to the throttle plate on the body.
So it's just got like two little clips,
Yep, that snap in place. You normally just undo those, kind of lift, and it comes out.
and that's pretty much something pretty much everybody can do, right?
Yep. Alright. All the hoses are back in place. All the sensors are connected. Alright. So that should be good for the injector portion. Hopefully that's the reason why that cylinder is dead.
If it's not, we just did a lot of work for nothing.
Well, I mean,
Well, it's,
in general altogether, it is going to improve fuel economy. replacing the injectors. So.
Alright. Big test. How does it seem?
It's still not bad. It's definitely improved. The RPMs originally were like at 500, now it's up at 750. So letting it adjust. I just wanted to see.
You're thinking it's that hose?
Just seeing if I can. If there is a vacuum leak anywhere else. One way that you can check a vacuum leak, you can get carburetor cleaner or throttle body cleaner and just spray around the seams, like of the intake, around hoses. And if it is a vacuum leak, it'll suck that carburetor cleaner in there, it'll choke down the motor, so you'll know.
You say choke down, it'll make the motor shut off?
It can, so and then you know that's right where your leak's at, and that's what you have to fix. But it looks like somebody did a full pack.
Somebody did a what?
Definitely new wires. The coil pack's been replaced is what it looks like, and it looks like wires, new wires. So, initially, probably what we do if you had like a dead cylinder or one that wasn't fire, I mean, we check wires, change plugs.
Yeah, I think that's what they did in Orlando.
And one key thing that you can do too to see if you had a wire arcing is like crank your motor at nighttime and just look at the wires, follow the wires in the back and all that, and with the lights shut off, if it's arcing, you'll see it be sparking against something or the motor block or something metal. You don't want to touch it because I mean but you'll be able to just observe. And if it is arcing somewhere, then you know right away that's a wire that you need to replace. What I have found that works, if you're really in a financial bind and it's just horrible and you see it arcing, they have to sell it, it's in Walmart, it's like $4. It's called liquid electrical tape. So you can just paint your wire with that liquid electrical tape. So that'll basically give you another 200 miles, prevent it from arcing, to kind of salvage. So I keep some in my truck just in case, you know, like this is rubbed up against the oil stick. That could be a spot later on that would start arcing and cause problems. So it's burning off the gas and the debris that we had left on the motor. So basically I just moved it away just a little bit so it doesn't still on that. Alright, put it down.
So pretty much the injectors are done and they seem good to you?
Yes, it's getting fuel, so, and it's definitely getting spark and firing up, so that's good. So I think my next troubleshoot that I would do on the van is I would actually pull each individual plug and look at the plug. You can tell by the way that the plug's got carbon or it's burnt, or part of the jacket, the insulator, if it's burned off, you know, it was burning too hot. That could be just bad plug. So, and you can get bad plugs for, if an injector was bad, it dead the plug because it wasn't firing the cylinder properly and it was just burning. It was not doing what it was supposed to do. Because each ignition with the piston going down basically pulls that carbon out of the motor and engine. If you're not igniting fuel in a cylinder, then basically that carbon's not going anywhere, it's just staying right there.